All right, from being an incredible actor and student to then becoming a part-time SoundCloud rapper, part-time cancer researcher, this is Jacob Haley. All right.
Episode 3, Chips and Chops podcast. We got Jacob Haley here.
You know, I'm really happy to be here, guys.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
to have you here.
This is one that I knew would be a great one. I'll just say that. Jacob Haley, good friend of mine. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so, obviously, Jacob Haley. Grew up South Bend, Indiana, born and raised. And, we lived here for, the first 6 years of my life, I would say. And when I was 6, we actually spent 4 months in Israel.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
So that's one
Wait,
really...
did you know that, Joey?
I mean, he just, I
think
know.
I mentioned it.
Yeah, you mentioned it, so...
But that was a really cool experience, especially at such a young age.
Do you remember that vividly or no?
I can't say I remember it vividly, but I think it was a transformative experience, especially at 6 years old, to spend so much time somewhere else,
Well, my question is, why did you guys end up going there?
So, my dad was doing work for his PhD at the time.
At the University of Notre Dame? Or?
So, it was through Notre Dame,
Yeah.
but we stayed at a, university-sponsored... It was kind of like a castle. It's called Tantour, actually.
Oh, shoot.
So that was incredible, but shortly after we got back to South Bend, we actually moved cross country to California, where we lived for about 2 years. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, this is relatively new news to me.
Yeah, and
So,
I don't really talk about this stuff too much either. Yeah.
I feel like you got so much stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's a little overlooked.
Yeah.
So how was that, moving away from, this is your home
Yeah.
for, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing that was really difficult is kind of looking at your hometown friends form their own relationships and kind of having to look at that from an outsider's perspective.
Well, you're only 8 years old, though, all right?
Yeah, but my
you
family,
still felt that?
we have a very close kind of tribe of people that we grew up with. There's probably about 5 families that I would say that my parents were friends with in college, so we all grew up together as kids.
Okay.
And it's kind of, we've known each other since we were born, so.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that would be hard. And then you came back at what age?
Yeah, about 8 years old.
8 years old, and then...
I've been here since, yeah.
Did you go to Stanley Clark your whole, 12 years or
so
whatever?
I went to Marquette Montessori, actually, which is not too far from here. Yeah. Yeah, I went there for about a year.
Okay.
And then we found out about Stanley Clark. And at first we thought it was there's no way we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I think tuition is $16K.
Yeah, it's expensive school.
It's a pretty bougie
But
place.
they do offer pretty incredible financial aid. And with scholarships, too, we were able to...
So it's like a grade school college.
Yeah, pretty much.
They take time out of the school day for sports practices.
Yeah.
I know that, and that's...
We had an entire unit every year where we would go to the bowling alley every other day. Like Chippewa Bowl.
That's honestly...
Bro, if I have kids
like
here
in
in
a bus?
20 years,
Yeah,
I'm putting
that
them
would be
in
our
Stanley
gym
Clark.
unit for the day.
It
would be roller skating and bowling unit. One day you would go bowling, the other day you would roller skate.
For a whole semester?
For how long?
For probably a trimester, I think.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It was really great. Yeah, there were so many amazing experiences I had there, so I was really lucky.
Yeah, and then you met...
to be able to go there.
I know you met some people that we previously had on the podcast
Too.
Yeah. Atticus and Liam there.
Liam, yeah.
Yeah, you're really
And
close
that,
friends.
I think that kind of highlights, I think I can speak to this, I don't know about you guys, but we were able to form such close bonds in middle school, and I think a lot of people aren't really as close with people they knew in middle school, because it was such a smaller environment, and it kind of speaks to the way we were able to become much closer as people.
Yeah, so we all 3 of us went to private schools, obviously different ones. For me, we had... throughout basically the whole time, it was a 20-person class. I graduated with 20 others, and it was a very, very tight-knit group.
Yeah.
And it was a blast.
Only 20 kids?
Yeah,
That's
it was really
small.
small, but
Honestly,
Because everyone transferred out.
yeah, everyone left to go to his school or somewhere else. But yeah, it was awesome. But I would say, unfortunately, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really close with anyone from Holy Cross now, which is cool. I found my people. But
That's cool.
yeah, I genuinely could care less What was your experience though with it?
I think sharing or keeping the bonds that you had in middle school is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And people we will have on later. Yeah, you can shut it up.
Sure.
The Hulk is real.
People that I had that we'll have on later on the podcast are super close to me. We went through like grade school together. One of the kids in like my group is from his old school. He transferred to our school, and we came close. And
Yeah, Carson.
still are.
Shout out Carson. He's one of our really close friends.
shout out.
Definitely a king.
but bonds from like your younger years I think are very important
And
because
it's really hard.
it's cool. It's hard, but like not really because like we text like every day. We got a little group chat, you know.
Yeah.
We'll hang out. We'll hang out 4 or 5 times a year, and like those 4 or 5 times are just great because we just like it's basically like an update on everyone's like growth as a person and development.
And can I say something?
Yeah, and then
I
I'll say
think
something.
the best thing is friendships where you don't have to be talking to each other constantly.
Yes.
And every time you hang out, you just pick up right where you left off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And it doesn't matter how
That's
long.
how you know it's elite.
Exactly. Because you're not worrying about how it looks on maybe on social media or like you don't
Yeah.
have to be constantly texting. But
yeah. So I was gonna say something like that. So I'll basically now kind of say how me and Jacob met. And I mean now we're really close. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but so after the COVID year, you know, the COVID summer, me and a couple other people, we would meet up at this. I'll probably just
because we live close to.
we
each
live
other.
live like 2 blocks away. We'd meet up at obviously I'll just say a park.
Yeah, it was like the Riverwalk.
Yeah, the Riverwalk near us, and we just hang out because it was the COVID time. Down bad for socialization, so I met him through there.
We didn't really.
We didn't.
I don't know how we got like. How did we get so close?
So, I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't tell you
I couldn't either.
because I know last summer, like around last spring and last summer,
Mm-hmm.
we hung out a bit, and then
There
this
had to be
fall.
something though, right? Like I don't know what it was.
I think not like everything has like that thing
That's
that you
true.
can like pinpoint, but
Yeah.
it's just like the constant development as a
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah,
brings
so
bring you guys as closer friends.
yeah, I would definitely say Jake is one of my closest friends. Lovely
Yeah,
guy,
I have to
obviously.
agree. 100%.
But we have the type of friendship where we could not talk for a month.
Oh, 100%.
And
But
we
were
wouldn't
fine. Like,
we wouldn't care. It wouldn't be the type of thing where it's an on and off friendship. It's always on, but you don't need to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that problem. I don't know if it's like
Right.
an anxiety kind of thing where
You have to discuss and talk every day, or you're like, you might think you're not friends, but like deep down, like I'm sure that person will still care for you, and
For
you can just
sure.
reach out,
Yeah.
text them, and they're there. So
Yeah,
those are the best relationships.
There's definitely the types of friendships where you think that if you don't talk for 2 weeks, that the person has something out for you, and then you might start talking a little trash about him.
Yeah.
But we don't have that at all. It's always
No.
very good
Yeah,
intentions.
and I think it comes down to communication too.
Yeah, you can. I mean, like even with a lack of communication, when you do talk,
Yeah,
it has
it's
to-
clear that
yeah,
we're not
it's
holding
nothing.
anything. We're not resenting each other.
Yeah, it's really. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, type of friendship that where we don't hang out that much, but when we do, it's awesome. It's really easy.
Yeah.
There's no stress. It's just. I mean, it's a vibe. Honestly, it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So, we talked about, your upbringing and all that.
Yeah.
So, something that I know about you, and I think was definitely more prevalent when you were a little younger, in
Yeah.
your teenage years, is theater.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
know.
so
It's-
you're an
it's one of
incredible
the more-
actor.
It's one of the more surprising things I think that people kind of get to know about me. But my first show actually ever was in California. I did Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I don't know if you guys know
Well,
that.
that's a class. That's a
Yeah.
classic
I've
high
never
school,
heard
of it.
middle school
Classic.
play.
were you Joseph? Or?
No, so it was like
I think our school did that.
Yeah.
Like my 7th grade year. I wasn't in it obviously because I'm not really an actor on that.
No,
kind
yeah.
I'll
of
say this: when I was in middle school, I did it all 3 years. My last year, I was damn near the star.
okay.
I know you guys. That doesn't come to any surprise.
You were.
No.
Yeah, no, I genuinely was.
Well,
You
when
could
there's-
ask
when there-
Sydney
when there's-
Taylor.
when there's only 20 kids.
Oh.
You had only 10 of them do it in your class. The other 10 do the crew. Yeah. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so I did that first show. The thing was, it was like kids to adults.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in the
that would
children's
definitely be
part.
interesting.
But when I went to Stanley Clark, I did school shows for the 4 years in middle school, and then I started doing some community theater, and I don't know, I just kind of loved it. Yeah. I don't know what it was, but like the feeling of kind of being on stage, like you kind of have to experience it to understand what it's like. But there's
It's a
no-
thrill.
And you just like fell in love with it.
yeah, I think there used to be some stigma attached to it. I didn't really like to like say I associated with it,
With
Yeah.
what, like
With,
drop
like-
with like drop.
with just even like doing theater at all. You
Oh.
know?
People might assume that.
Or they just like theater kid, you know? Like,
Yeah, they think that you might be a little nerdy. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
But I think honestly, it comes down if you enjoy something, like
Do
there's
it.
nothing holding you back. Why does it matter what someone else might think?
Yeah, that's one of the
Especially if
reasons.
you know who you are and what you like.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons that I recently joined the John Adams Art Club.
Yeah. I know you have a deep passion.
you joined the art club.
Yeah,
Oh,
No,
you did
Joey?
the dance club.
I'm doing all of them.
Yeah, some of Joey's passions, you know, he doesn't show on the outside as much, but
You know, deep down,
Deep down, he
art
loves,
is something
loves to
important.
draw.
yeah, and dance.
Yeah, it's
You guys should see his feet.
He just loves expressing himself.
We used to call him
basically.
Happy Feet. Remember?
No, you. Oh wait, yeah.
We did.
Wait.
His
I
little
remember.
feet used to just.
Let's move, yo. So yeah, talk about. I mean, I'm curious how, because like, I don't know what it's called that you're in. It's like youth theater. Or
Yeah,
something.
so the specific like performance group is called United Youth Theater.
I mean, I can imagine that's like a really big thing for you because
Wait, is that
you've
like
met
a,
some.
is that something you pay to join or try out?
No,
and-
yeah, so you can try out. You don't. It's not like pay play.
Oh, you're already in it.
No,
He's been
no.
in it.
Like you can you try out, but it doesn't make like you're not automatically in with like a theater.
And if you get in, you have to pay them.
There's usually like a production fee, but it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
it's not like you have to pay to audition. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you talk about because a little bit more? Because I mean, how long have you been doing that for?
So if you go back to middle school, you could say 5th grade with school shows. But my first like community theater show was 6th grade going into 7th grade, and I think I have to say part of what got me so hooked on doing shows is that I have to say there is a lot. Not so much anymore. This is not what I look for, but I used to love the drama that people really don't know about. There's
No, I
some-
can imagine. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Like you love like
No, someone messes up. You know, you're like, what the F are
more
you doing?
more like social drama.
okay. I
Yeah.
can't lie. I do love seeing a little social drama.
I have to say,
But sometimes people will take it too far and it becomes like, but like, I don't know. Sometimes like,
I can
it's
give
just
a
like,
con- I can give
like
a confession
instigating.
if you want.
Instigating is pretty fun.
Yeah.
You can give a what?
Do you want to hear a confession?
Sure.
Sure. Let's hear it.
Alright. So I want you guys to tell me like, I want you to give me your thoughts on this too.
Okay.
It's kind of like a moral, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So that show I was just talking about, I was 12 years old, right? 6th grade going into 7th grade, and at the time, I kind of found myself, you know, I got a crush on someone in the cast, right?
Ooh.
Was it?
It was just
That was
someone.
when he was younger.
Yeah, this was
Well,
I was 12.
Okay.
When
Okay.
he was 12. Joe.
And found out she was like 14, like going into high school.
It's not who I think it is.
Colin Legault, if you're listening.
And and I lied about my age, and we dated for a bit.
I would
But
say.
So you were 12 years
Wait,
old
this
dating
week-
a 14-year
This is
old?
what you have to keep in mind, though. Like,
You were tall.
I didn't look old. Like, if I look back, I'm like, there's no way that was convincing. But somehow it was convincing.
I mean, you're a tall guy. Were you tall back then too, or did you just hit that little growth spurt?
I was
and-
tall for my age, I think.
You've
But
always been very mature, definitely for your age.
appreciate that.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't support it.
But
Do I think
again,
that you're a king for doing that? Yes.
I don't know. I would have to say it's like one of my regrettable.
I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but it was,
Yeah.
you were 12.
That's a
True.
little messed up. Because
Like it would, I would never like if that like I would never do something like.
Oh.
I mean,
100%.
is that why you guys like broke up? Is because you told her?
So, it
yeah,
was
I'm actually 12.
Yeah, I
So,
would take back
I have
what
to
I
say,
said.
I never actually told her during our relationship.
Wait, for real?
So the reason we broke up is like I was literally in 6th grade or 7th grade, and my mom would like take my iPod Touch. So, like, I would only be able to text her on Snapchat on my mom's phone.
Oh God.
So
Did you ever hang out?
I talked to her like once a week. We hung out one time, like on one date, and my dad came with. My dad and my little sister came
I mean,
with.
Like, well,
That's a W group of 3 right there.
group of 4. His sister was there too.
True, but like, I mean, that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm sure it is messed up, and I would definitely not. It's
Oh.
not cool.
Yeah.
But like, I wouldn't I wouldn't think about
But
it.
that's
that
kind of
much.
an example of like.
I mean, lying about your age is messed up
100%.
in a relationship.
But like when you're 12
I also lied
and,
to
like,
the entire cast too.
You what?
I lied to the entire cast.
So how'd you
Yeah, that's
how'd you
really
redeem
messed up.
yourself? Because you're still in the United Youth Theater.
It wasn't like this was going on with the adults though, you know. Like
Wait,
this
there's
is-
adults in the United Group?
No, like I'm saying
Like
like
young adults, right?
No, I'm saying like the directors and people. It's not like they knew about this and like they wouldn't let me audition.
Okay.
You know? Like
Oh, because
But-
there's no age requirement?
no.
Or age minimum? Like you have to be like 12 years old or something? Or 10 years old?
No, that's a lot of young
To be in
people.
It really depends on the show.
Oh.
It'll be by grade, but
Oh.
I think we're actually going to talk about this too because that's actually I met my girlfriend through theater as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you guys have been together for like
Yeah, I would say it's pretty long for a high school relationship at
almost
least.
2.5 years or something.
2.5 years tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, so I went to middle school with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Sydney's really cool. Yeah, so I guess that's a reason to be really grateful
Oh,
that you
yeah.
did it. And,
Oh, yeah.
and then you still do it.
Because it's the people you meet and it's the
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
I would say that's definitely. I mean, that's the reason that I would join anything like
Yeah.
that. Is it's.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't love theater, you know, or if I do a
Yeah.
sport that I'm not super big in, I don't do it to play
Yeah.
as a competitive thing. I
Yeah,
just
like,
do it to mess
it's
around
life
and meet people.
Well, let's just say
Experience.
Joey
Yeah.
joining tennis this year.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm bottom 3, probably the third bottom.
Probably just.
But
Let's be honest. You're a senior. The other people in the bottom 3 are freshmen. So basically,
Yes.
you're just the worst.
there's this one person named Joaquin. I think I could give him a run for his money. He's
Hey,
also a
hey.
senior.
I think here's the thing we should look at. If he's at the bottom, there's only room to grow.
Facts.
You know.
Yeah, I got
But, I
5
mean-
more weeks.
5 or-
So my question is, you know, you met her and you met your girlfriend in 8th grade. So now you're going into your junior year. What's your reason for staying in it? Because it's not like you
Yeah.
owe anything to them. You know.
I know, and actually that was one thing I kind of struggled with so COVID hit and the show that I was actually in got cut off like a week before performance.
Wait. What's the name of it?
It was Les Mis. Actually.
I actually went to that. That was
Yeah.
yeah.
Was
I went-
it
How'd you
good?
go to it?
I went
You just
to
said
it.
it got cut off.
Well,
No.
After
They-
COVID, you brought it.
we actually came back after COVID.
It was yeah. I mean, yeah. So why don't you talk about that and then we'll talk about that later in the show.
At first we were postponing it. We were kind of doing online Zooms, but you can't really.
It
do
sounds
anything.
awful.
cannot
We
do
didn't.
it.
We didn't like rehearse. They kind of were
Kinda
just
just-
checking in.
Was it helpful?
The Zooms?
Yes.
It wasn't a big part of stuff. It was
Like, yeah, because
We
like
did,
I'm
like,
gonna be
2
honest, I
Zooms.
could not be.
no, they weren't meant to be like rehearsals. They were kind of like check-ins.
I could
for,
not
like,
care about a
social-
Zoom
Yeah.
and
But,
like really
um,
get my all because that's how it was. Like, you know, like we did mock trial the COVID year and it was on Zoom and like when you're on, if I'm not face to face with you, like I just could not. Like,
It's really difficult.
it's hard to care.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a passion about something if it's you in a room. You're with a
'Cause
computer.
you're not there.
You're not with
You're not
like
there.
the people that you're
Yeah.
spending your time with. So talk about the struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, that was hard for sure. But what was worse was when they were like, "Okay, we're gonna have to say we don't know when we're bringing this back because COVID was getting worse." I honestly did not know if we were gonna
Happen.
bring it back. Yeah,
So you're like, were you contemplating just quitting?
I would have.
it's hard to say because like in my mind it was just as viable to we just dropped it and we just never came back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think about it that much until we were getting back to do it. And I had a feeling, I was like, I have to do this, you know, like
Yeah.
the friends that were in that show especially. And I always loved that show and I always wanted to be in it. It's kind of not done as much because it's a really hard show to
Yeah, it's long.
do. Mm-hmm.
It's really long.
And there needs to be a certain level of talent, an amount of talent. There's a lot of lead roles that require extreme talent, yeah. So it's a difficult show to pull off. And I think it was great when we actually
Yeah.
got to...
It was
Come back.
January,
Yeah.
early January. So I went to that show, and I mean, it's like it genuinely blew me away, right? Because you have these people that are, I mean, what was the age range? It was pretty young to around
Oh.
20, right?
Oh, yeah.
Barely,
because,
really
Oh, so
young.
it's not just high schoolers?
Well, it was, but then COVID.
Oh, so
So we
they
brought
were
back-
a senior and then
Yeah,
you got back
yeah.
their freshman in college or just
Exactly.
doing
Yeah.
whatever.
That takes a lot of commitment too.
Exactly. Because to come back during college, to come back to this, you have to think about...
Come back to your hometown to do something.
Yeah,
that
and it
is in
shows
your
how
whole
important...
life.
Exactly.
So, what was the age range? The
It
youngest
was
or the
like
oldest?
there were some little kids because there are young roles in the show.
Yeah.
So, I couldn't give you an exact. Probably 7, 8, up to about 20.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty cool.
I
It was
went through it, and
incredible.
it genuinely,
That
blew me
gives
away.
Good memories. Yeah.
Especially because of the fact that it's all singing.
Yeah. It's
Right, so
crazy.
you have people like that are just passionately singing. They're doing an incredible job at it. It's
I love it. Yeah.
I can just not imagine singing in conversation
Yeah.
and having it be that convincing.
And the bonds too that you form doing something because you're working with people for a certain number of hours a week.
So how much was it? Because I know that you have a lot of commitments. How much time do you have to put towards the theater?
Probably 2.5 hour rehearsal multiple times a week, and then Saturday rehearsals like every other week.
That's
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, that'd be probably around 10 hours
But
a week, right?
you have to make it work. You have school going on at the
Yeah.
same time. You just have to make sure you're getting your homework done. And
Well, because you're Jacob Haley, very intelligent man, actually.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll get to that. Yeah, let's finish up. So, are you gonna be? Is there a new show coming up, or?
I don't have anything on the docket right now. Actually, though, I kind of want to try out for this show with Civic. It's The Outsiders.
Okay, I've heard of
You
it.
guys know that?
I've seen
Yeah.
Like the book?
advertisements.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, so your acting career is definitely not over.
Oh yeah. I think I still have.
You think when you're gonna be an adult that you'll do it?
I don't know. I think
That's-
it's a decision you make when you get there. We'll see where life takes me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna try to force anything.
Yeah, because I think
Facts.
it's incredible. You have these 30-year-olds still participating, and
Oh yeah.
that's something if I was.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. There's like passionate.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Like they have another job and then
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so my my second grade teacher who ran all the plays, like that's something
Yeah.
that she would be involved in.
She's in a show with Sydney right now.
Yeah, like to me, like
why aren't you in that
I
show?
saw it last night. I actually had an opportunity, but I didn't reach out kind of fast enough. Someone else reached out first because they needed
Oh,
a role. They had
yeah.
a role they had to fill, but
No, to me that's really cool that you're an adult still. I mean, you started when you were 7 or 8. You could be
Yeah.
doing it when you're 40,
mm-hmm.
right? And to me that's so cool.
Well, it's just like a sport.
Yeah, but I feel
But like some
it's-
sports, like
no, because
let's
when
be
you-
honest,
so
golf is the only sport out here that you can play till you're 80.
No, tennis. My grandma's like 78 and she does tennis.
But it's
That
a
takes some
completely different
athleticism.
skill.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's a
Golf, you can be around the same skill
What about
level.
bowling?
I don't know.
I feel like you can get a little wear and tear. You're not gonna be able to.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
it's like the fingers and like arthritis and stuff.
Yeah, but I would say, yeah, that's really cool that you could stick with something your whole life. And
Yeah.
I imagine obviously when you get older, a lot more wear and tear. It's gonna be harder to move around and
Yeah.
do all that. So David was talking about school. So you're gonna be a junior.
Yes.
At Marion.
Yeah.
And like, just talking about how incredible Jacob is. He does the theater thing. He's also, I mean, are you on track to be valedictorian?
I don't know. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know enough about that.
But
yeah. I mean, it's definitely not out of the picture.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So your whole life, have you always been, not to say a nerd, but like the incredibly smart individual? Like, it's just talking to you, it sounds like it's a very natural thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say I have to give a lot to my parents. Definitely.
Yeah.
They taught me to read when I was about three or 4.
Yeah.
And even at 2 years old, I was like, I could recite some books because they would read to me so much.
I feel like that. Oh, I've heard that kids can do that, but not
But
normally.
the
at
thing
2.
is, it's also a big
He's
part of it
incredibly
is the
talented,
amount
yeah.
but it's the amount of time that they're also putting into like stimulating like my brain.
Yeah.
Because if you're reading constantly, like that is so much information and so much that can have a big, incredible benefit.
So you're great at reading.
That's a tough thing. It's like with this day and age, I have to say I'm not as, I don't follow through with my reading as much as I would love to. But I used to be a crazy reader, like
Yeah.
crazy.
I was too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say
think-
crazy,
think-
but I would.
I think everyone kind of was.
I would
at
say
some
like
point.
over
And then when you get your phone and when,
50 books
you know.
a year, maybe.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, you have some.
I
incredible-
read with my dad. I mean, I didn't read it through on my own, but I read War and Peace with my dad when I was 8.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Is that like
It's
the
like
longest
It's like
book?
the Bible.
It's like the longest.
it's
book in the
Russian.
world.
I can't remember if it's Dostoevsky.
It's like the longest book in the world. Or
Is
something.
it really?
It's like up
it's
to there.
Russian.
It's like
That's
one of the
incredible.
longest books, I think.
It's
No, yeah,
really
you-
long, but I can't get full credit for that because obviously my dad read it with me. But
Yeah. No, you
I
definitely
think it was
have.
great because he exposed me to a lot of great literature when I was really young. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
which was great for me. But-
Yeah, I've known Jacob's parents probably for less than a year, but I've spent some time with them, and
We've had some.
You're making
we've
it
had
seem
some
like-
incredible conversations.
No, we've had some
Oh,
awesome
God.
time together.
Yeah, there's like, just chilling on his porch, talking to his mom. Like, it's,
Mhm.
I would say, yeah, you have some incredible parents for sure.
I really appreciate that.
So I mean, would you say education is a really big part of your life?
Yeah, and it was tough because, yeah, I don't know how to talk about it. I don't want to like sound,
No, obviously, just
No,
Yeah.
just speak it.
because
It's fine.
stuff always just came easier. you
Yeah.
know, and it wasn't like I necessarily had to put more time or more work in, but I would be able. Especially with some of the younger grades, that was what we kind of had. That's how we found out about Stanley Clark because we were
Yeah.
talking to the teacher at Marquette Montessori, and she was like, we were trying to figure out. It was clear that like I wasn't really going to thrive there.
you needed to be challenged.
Yeah, so that's kind of what prompted the move to Stanley Clark. Once we found out we were able to, with the financial aid,
And they challenged you?
that school was probably one of the. It's my academics. I owe a lot to Stanley Clark.
Interesting. Because
Especially
I know
Mr.
some other
Hunter,
kids
right?
from.
They actually my 8th grade year I wrote a 75-page report. If that tells you anything.
That's unspeakable.
Like,
I
because
could not
you were-
write a book
because
more
that
than
was
5
like
pages.
that was like what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
In 8th grade, so at age
Yeah.
14 or 13.
Everyone had to do that.
Not necessarily the same length, but
So it was more
50
personalized. Stanley
50
Clark.
to 75.
What was it like about?
We had to do it was a river watch project, so we did water samples from the
Joey's
river.
chairs are a little.
Yeah, the studio's in the
The
process.
studio's in the process because hey, keep in mind, the porch is still happening.
Well, now it's actually occupied.
it's occupied
It is
by
occupied.
a person named Rocco.
I'm actually wearing the Rocco shirt right now. I just got off my shift there. Amazing pizza place in South Bend, Indiana. Check it out.
It's great.
Okay.
It's great.
So it sounds like Stanley Clark was incredible for you.
Yeah,
Real.
yeah, it was definitely one of the most influential parts of my early childhood.
Yeah, and
not
then-
really,
And then how was the transition from Stanley Clark to Marion?
Marion.
How many
So-
people did you know?
Wait,
at Marion?
wait, wait. Was Marion a choice that you made, or was that your parents said you were going to Marion?
So they wanted me to go to Trinity.
Oh God.
Oh God. Trinity. Nothing against it.
Yeah,
but
if you don't know what Trinity is, Joey,
you
take
know,
away.
it's segregated men and women. So there's the classes are you're in a class with all men, you're in a class with all women. Before the COVID thing, they had a social distancing rule. So if you're a boy in the hall, you have to stay away from the women. You cannot talk to them or anything. So I'm very glad that you did not end up going
I
there.
actually visited.
How was it? I mean, I can imagine it's not
That
as
was-
bad as
that
it
was-
sounds, but like, yeah, I would not enjoy that.
I think because I have friends there who do.
No,
enjoy
yeah,
it. It was not for me.
Is it for anyone?
It is. I mean, like I have friends who actually do enjoy themselves there.
Because we have our friend Caleb, and it seems like he doesn't.
Yeah.
If he was talking about, I think he would really.
Caleb does like it there.
I feel like he could really love going to an Adams or a Marion.
But I think that at this point he has.
You're too deep
yeah,
in.
Yeah.
So how was the transition from Stanley Clark to Marion? Because you're a very
Yeah.
extroverted person. I don't know if you've always been that way.
Yeah. So I was class president freshman and sophomore year.
Not going to be a sophomore or a junior year?
So I had some issues towards the end of my sophomore year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't
We're not
I wasn't
gonna get into
able to. I can't go too deep into detail, but I wasn't able to run junior year.
Oh, you guys already had elections and stuff?
That's how St. Joe did it too.
Why does it matter?
I
They should.
Yeah.
Well,
They
it's
should.
fine.
It makes more.
Some of these kids are gonna leave. I don't know.
I don't know. It makes more sense.
I think I'm going for student body president though.
Yeah, David and I, our plan is to go for
Oh, they have
whatever the hell we want to go.
They
for.
haven't
Yeah.
elections.
No.
Let's just see elections and all right, we'll just sign up for that. And
Yeah, I give us a month or so. We'll win. No, but I'm really curious how the transition was because the transition, at least in the first quarter, from going to a private school, Holy Cross, to going to 2,100 kids or 2,000 kids at Adams was. I mean, it was very tough.
Yeah. Marion's actually it's much smaller, so it wasn't as big of a transition.
Yeah.
I would say it was actually tougher because it didn't challenge me as much as Stanley Clark.
Yes.
I kind of had to
Were you
accept
bored a lot,
that.
or?
There were some classes that I kind of struggled because, you know, it was
They were
a
just
little
too easy.
slow. Yeah, you could say. But I'm actually really excited this year. I think I'll have some challenge ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have some challenges
Mhm.
in my school. Taking Earth and Space Science honors.
Oh, okay.
So an
I
honors
didn't even know
class.
honors was for Earth and Space.
I don't know. It's 'cause
I think
I'm-
they just made it just for you
That's
this year.
incredible. Yeah. What's your GPA?
So last year's
Keep
like
in mind, Earth and Space Science, he's going to be in the class with a bunch of freshmen.
unfortunately, but yes,
I feel like
that
that could be fun.
It's
like,
gonna be a good marketing time. It's gonna be a good time marketing.
You
this.
could just like become friends with all these freshmen and like.
Yes.
I
And
will.
we actually are big on giving advice to freshmen.
I heard.
Yeah, I was telling.
And that's it for episode 3. Jacob Haley, part 1. If you liked it, tap into part 2, releasing Friday. All right. Peace.